Hello viewers, this is Prash from X Accounting. Today I'll be showing you how to create a dynamic dashboard with the help of VLOOKUP, match, and indirect function, and also name ranges. So before you start following this video, I suggest you go through the links I have provided in the video description below about the basics and functionality of these four Excel tools. Mainly name ranges, VLOOKUP function, match function, and indirect function. So I highly suggest you get well versed with these four tools, and then you follow along with me in this video. Well, I can explain you all these four functions in detail, but that would make this video really long, and the purpose of this video is to show you guys how to create a dashboard with the help of these four Excel tools, more for function and name ranges. So we'll start with the worksheet. I'll show how the structure has been set for this worksheet. So we have three profit and loss accounts: division A, division B, division C, for an organization called Pro Incorporative. So I've created three divisions, and there is also year-to-date figures, year-to-date numbers for the same division: division A year-to-date, division B year-to-date, division C year-to-date, and there is a validation which I'm going to be using. So we'll be preparing a dashboard something like this. This is the completed dashboard I have prepared. As you can see, with the one click of this drop down, which is mainly a data validation, where here you can put whatever you want. Like if you want to use the advanced form controls from here, you can use the same, but I have, for the sake of simplicity, I just kept data validation, simple one. So basically this dashboard works based on your selection criteria of dates. So if you select February, for example, you'll have monthly figures of February for the month of February for all these three divisions, A, B, and C, and year to date, which will be Jan and Feb for all these three divisions and total. And below you'll get a monthly roller where you can see Jan and Feb only when you select February. So formula set in such a way where data in the rollers will be appear for the month and the previous month. So it makes sense when I select March, I want data from Jan, Feb, and March. It's quite easy to make. There is no VBA code involved here, and within minutes you'll be well versed with the creation of this kind of dynamic dashboard. So the first step is to create this data validation, which will be a name, which will be a range we're going to be selecting from the validation tab. So we'll go to data validation, list. We're going to be selecting the dates. Click OK. So now we have the drop down list. Now the only catch here is that all the dates here should be similar. So if I go to validation, all the dates are similar formatted. So as you can see, for year 2016, all of these monthly dates are month-end dates, because all the mainly in most of the cases financial reporting is monthly in big to small organization, and it's always a month-end. So I have chosen month-end, and the dates appearing here in all this P&L statements I'll brief you through in a moment are also in same format. So make sure everywhere you keep you can link the dates from one particular sheet to all the sheets, so you don't have to bother about it. Here also the dates are in similar format, which are linked to division A sheet. Now division A P&L is a monthly, as you can see here, and there is year to date. So first, after creating a validation, we need to create a name range for all these 6 sheets with the different names. So first of all, we'll do for division A, where I'll be selecting entire workbook. So for name ranges, we'll be selecting columns range B, B4 till N56. So this is the portion we're going to name it, but I've already done it for you. So you can see division A month is equal to division A this particular range. Same way with division B month, it's going to be division B sheet, and from column B to column N. Same way division C month is division C sheet, same name range. Division A year to date is nothing but the same selection, but for this year to date figures. So this naming convention here are important. So make sure that you give this name appropriately, because we're going to be using this particular text name itself for referencing formula with the help of indirect function. So now on this row 4, which is from C4, I have created name ranges for the same names of our tables. I can just highlight it. As you can see, division A month, which is this portion. As you know, we're going to be populating monthly figures based on a selection. So here I have kept this text, which is the exact name of the division A monthly data. So range of division A monthly data, which is this portion, is this division A month, as you can see here. So we have to keep same name there. Same with B and C. For year, this portion is for year to date, so I have kept the name as it is for the name range, which is division A year to date, and so on. So this is important, and this is just a helper row, and you can just hide it, or you can just color it with the complete white color, which will match your background or any background you have in your particular color scheme, so it will not be visible in the dashboard. Now we'll be starting with the formula writing of pulling data from all these 6 sheets. So first we'll be starting with the VLOOKUP function, which is the main function we'll be using here. So we're going to start with VLOOKUP. We're going to select the lookup value, which is A7, and I'm going to be freezing the column here. And table array, this is a tricky one where indirect function will come into picture. So we'll be writing indirect, and we're selecting C4, which is we're going to be freezing the row, and column index will be using match function to match the column accordingly. So we'll be choosing lookup value as March. We'll be freezing that as absolute reference, and lookup array would be any from any table you can select this date range, because we're going to be looking up this date according to our criteria, which is in the drop down validation. So I'll be freezing this. Of course we want exact match, close parenthesis, and we want exact match. So I'll just run you through again with the formula. So we'll be using VLOOKUP as our main formula. We're going to be looking up this income and revenue, which is same as here, income revenue. So tax should be same, as you know. So if there is some gaps or any formatting problem, VLOOKUP will not work. So make sure that your exact same tax is appearing here in your dashboard as your main source data. So I have income, I have labor cost, vehicle cost, other cost, cost of sales, and overheads. Other fields are calculated here itself, so you don't have to put formula there. But these fields 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, all these rows, the tax value should be exactly same as used in this 6 sheets, the P&L year to date and monthly. So first we're going to have a lookup value, as you know in VLOOKUP, which will be A7, and we'll be freezing the column because we want to drag it horizontally, this formula. Then we'll be using indirect function for table array. So the table where we're going to be looking these values. So indirect function converts your text string into a reference. So for us, division A month is the exact name of division A, B 4, 2, and 56. So this is the same name as division A month. So basically an indirect function converts this particular text, which is exactly the name range as we have given for division A monthly, to a complete range, a selection. So I'm sure it's not easy to understand, so I highly suggest you go through the tutorials for indirect function, which I have linked in the description below. After that, we need a column index, which should be dynamic. So I am using match function, which is match function will find the this particular value, lookup value, which is our month, which is a date for us. So for us it is a March. So it will look for that value in a specific lookup array. For us it's date range from description to so it should be B and N, so which is the same horizontal range as we have in a name range. So B to N, same way. So you can select any of the ranges here, B to N, B to N, from any table, because we have same dates everywhere. So that, and we want exact match. So for us it will be 0. And again we have to close the VLOOKUP function with the exact match. Now since we have given everywhere dynamic ranges, absolute and mixed references here and there, now we'll be just dragging this formula for division B and C as well. So we'll get exact and accurate figures for the month of March. Similar way, we'll be copying the formula for breakup of direct labor cost, vehicle, and other cost. Basically you can choose any account heads or GL name you want from this particular range itself, but I have kept the main subsections only, like here. Now we're going to be copying one more time, and we'll get the complete table for the month of March. Now since we have designed this table with all the formulas, it will be easy to just copy the same formula for year-to-date table as well, and we'll get the accurate figures year-to-date March. Now if you change your dates, you'll get the dynamic figures based on the date selection. Now we'll be writing the formula to populate through monthly roller. We already have developed this summary sheet where monthly and year-to-date figures are showing based on the period you select, but we also want data population in a month wise, so anybody can review this report monthly. How is the fluctuation? You can create also charts, especially line charts and bar charts, to show monthly performance. So for that we'll be writing another formula. It will be quite similar formula, but there is one more trick I'll show you where only the dates, year-to-date figures will be appeared. So for example, if we select March here, the figures for Jan, Feb and March will appear, and others will be 0. Similar way for all these 3 divisions. So we have to use VLOOKUP formula as we are using currently, and then we'll be using if function, which is a trick which I'll show you. It's easy, but it's very effective as well. So we'll be writing VLOOKUP. We'll be selecting our lookup value, freezing the column. Table array we'll be using indirect function as we used before, referencing division a month. Now this time we should give an absolute reference to this particular selection C4. Then we'll be using match function. We'll be looking up this value, where we'll be freezing the row, which will be 21, looking up to the same location as we did before. Exit match, close parentheses, closing the VLOOKUP with exit match. So now we got the value for the month of January. Now we'll be copying the formula here for the month of February. So now, as I told you before, we need to put a if formula where only if you're selecting a particular month here for display, it will show cumulative period figures for that particular month and the previous month. So for March it will be March, Feb and January. If we select April here, it will be April, March, Feb, January. So now we'll be adding a if formula in front of VLOOKUP to make sure that we have a correct population of year-to-date figures. So for example, if I select March here, the data should be populated for Jan, Feb and March, and here rest of them should be 0. Same way, if I select April, it should be April, March, Jan and Feb, and the rest should be 0. So accordingly the roller, it will create a column C3. If C21, where we'll be freezing the row, is less than or equal to C3, then here if the value is true, we'll be using the formula. So this formula will be our true selection, and if not, give 0. So you notice here I have freeze this particular cell completely absolute reference because it's not going to change. Here Jan, when we drag it down in the next table, we can keep the same, but ideally you should switch from Jan column C21 to C30. So I'll show you that in a moment. So now we can drag this particular formula. As you can see, I'm copying the formula. Since the selection in C3 is March, the data will appear only from till March, which is Jan, Feb and March. Similar way, we'll be copying the formula. Now we'll be doing same thing for division B, but in this case you just have to tweak formula a little bit. Only change we need to do is change the indirect function from C4 to D4. And also we'll be selecting Jan, which Jan 16. You can keep the same, but since this is individual table, we need to make sure that dates are and the ranges are properly selected. So I have selected D30, and same way with in the match function also I have selected C30. Click enter and it should work. You can copy the same and copy the same here. Same way we'll be doing it for division C. We first will drag our date comparison and selection to row 39, then changing the match to division C month and enter. Copy the formula to the right. And we are almost done. As you can see, there was some figures coming here. Now the validation is correct. So our data is populating correctly. You can create validation for all the divisions itself. I just created for division A. We basically based on the selection. So till March, whatever division A revenue should match here. Cost of sales, overheads, including gross profit, net profit, and percentages. So you can create same way for entire this table division B, division C, and total company. If you create for total company, it is sufficient, I guess. So as long as the difference is 0 for year to date, you're good to go, and your data is correctly populated. Once you're done with this setup, now you can do further manipulation and further presentation. Like you can create charts, you can create line chart, bar chart to show monthly performance. You should hide this particular text here because it's just a helper row. You don't want people to see that, and you can hide it like this. So now you have one-click selection of the period, and you can have a complete dashboard with that. So VLOOKUP Indirect and Named function makes the VLOOKUP function really dynamic and very powerful dashboard formula, and also a data extraction tool. So even if it's very more complex data structure where you have multiple division under subdivision, you can also use this with the proper name range. So I hope you guys learned something new here, and let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. And if you have any question regarding the formulas, I'll be happy to help you. And as I told you before, you need to have a basic to intermediate understanding for these 4 Excel tools, these 3 functions: VLOOKUP, match and indirect, and name ranges. So if you know that, This formula is very powerful, very dynamic, and it will help you create fantastic dashboard reports with no time. So next month, suppose you are preparing this MIS monthly, you just have to paste data or populate this data, and it will work. This dashboard will work flawlessly throughout the year. So thank you very much, and I'll be bringing more advanced tutorials and dashboards to share, and thanks for watching.